We're going to do things a little bit differently today. We're not going to use my big camera and we're going to use a mobile phone. I've had quite a few requests for this video, so what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you how you can get some great landscape photos using your phone and the pros and cons. So the main one is this is my camera bag. It's quite heavy, it's pretty big, and it takes quite a bit of effort to get it up onto the mountains and hills, whereas this is my mobile phone and it fits in my pocket and you don't even know it's there. So that's the main pro, and the phones have sort of replaced the point and shoot cameras now, in my opinion. There are still some like top end point and shoot cameras which do a great job, but for something that most people have in their pockets already, like most people have phones now and most of them have cameras on, so you've got everything you need to get started. So first tip is when you're taking a picture of the landscape, it's good to get the horizon level. The main reason you want to do this is if the horizon isn't straight, then if you've got something like water in, it just looks like the water is pouring out the image and it just looks a bit weird. So if you spend a few seconds just concentrating on that, make sure you got everything straight. Some cameras have a built-in spirit level, so it tells you when it's flat, but if you don't have that, just concentrate on a point off in the distance and you should be able to work it out. Another thing is you want to try and get a sharp image. If it's blurry, you just can't see the details very well. So if you're struggling to handhold it like this, maybe you've got shaky hands, maybe it's windy, there's a lot of things that can introduce camera shake. What you could do is you could get a tripod, which means that you've got a steady base, you can just put it down and it'll just balance out for you. I personally haven't bought any accessories for my phone because I like to keep it like portable and quick and easy to use. What I like to do instead is, if you imagine that your arms are the tripod and you want to have a base for it, so if you tuck your arms into your body and then hold the camera like that, it just means that it's going to be hard for the camera to move forwards and backwards, and it's just a lot more steady, whereas if you're there, it's easy to wobble around. You're going to look pretty stupid doing it, but it gets a shot, and I've never really cared about that anyway. But what I'm going to do is we'll run through getting a photo and put my money where my mouth is. So what I've done today is I've come up onto Gummers How. It's just on the side of Windermere, and it's a short but fairly steep walk up onto this, and you get views over the water. You can see the Coniston Range over there, you can see the Fairfield Horseshoe at the end, and Ambleside and Bowness are that way, so you can see quite a lot. And over on that side you can look across to Yorkshire and down over the bay, so there's a lot of options in a small area. But looking back there now, there's some light spots on the trees, hopefully you can see that. So there's light spots there, you've got the mountains, there's some really dark and grey clouds on the left, but on the right there's a small patch of blue, and also down here there's some trees. I quite like the idea of getting them trees in, so we'll probably drop down there. And in the last video I did on the Priest Hole, it might have been 2 videos ago, I said that I prefer to climb and have a bit of a struggle to get the shots, but you don't have to do that. It depends on like what you're into. I personally like climbing up and getting this drop down. Maybe you're into woodland photography, maybe you're into street photography. Just choose something that you like and the compositions will come a lot more naturally. I found that if I have to force it, you generally don't come away with a good photo, but hopefully we'll get something now. And ideally I want trees in this area here, water here, some intimidating sky there. I've pretty much got this set up how I want it now. I'm quite liking this bit of water here. It's sort of pointing you towards the back of the image and it's a leading line. And then down here you got these trees which are also sort of arching to the right, and then it doesn't look that dark on the video, but these clouds here are really grey, and it's just quite a moody photo. So we'll bring in the phone. One thing that you might not know is on the iPhones you can use the audio buttons to take the picture. So I can press the like volume down button to take a picture like that. So what we're going to do is, I want to get the edge of this tree just inside, and I also want to start the bottom of the picture. See where that green is? I'd quite like to start in the bottom. I think that'll work quite nice. So we're going to go for something like that. That's come out pretty nice straight out the camera. You've got the water there on the left hand side, you've got your trees, and I think it balances out quite nice. There's sort of green area here, you've got the trees there, water, then the back area, then you've got the dark sky above it. So like you can see there, most of the work was done before we actually got to the photo. We worked out what we wanted, and once we got here it was just pressing the button really. Now on that side the sun has just broken out, so we might try and get something there. I think we need to drop down a little bit more, and then we'll run through that photo as well. This side is going to be a little bit trickier though. You can see the sun coming down on this side, and it's putting some rays down, but I'm liking this sort of C shape, and then the water gets wider. We'll grab this quickly because it won't last. I messed up slightly there. I was trying to show you this on the back of the phone, but by the time I got it all set up, them sun rays had gone. I think I got one just on the phone, but what I was trying to tell you is, if you're struggling to get like the scene properly exposed, like see how it's too bright on the video here, there's no details. So what you do is, say it's too bright in the top, you just tap the top bit, then the phone's going to do the thinking for you. And same if it's too dark, if you tap on the dark area, it's going to bring up the exposure. Sometimes it can't bridge the gap, and it'll either be too dark or too bright still on one half, but they do a pretty good job of bridging that gap for you. So we've got two mountainous shots there. I think what I'm going to do is, it looks like the weather is going to come in and it's going to start raining, so we'll head into the woods and maybe try a waterfall shot, put the same things into a different type of photo. I've got a feeling that last photo was a bit rushed, but that's the way it goes a lot of the time. With landscape photography, the main factors are the weather and the lighting conditions. That's why you often see sunrise and sunset photos. The light is generally a bit softer then. What I personally like is changes in the weather. So like we had then, it was a grey sky, then the sun broke through. Sometimes if it's raining and the sun breaks out, there'll be a rainbow. Or when we're in the woods, sometimes when it's raining, the mist rolls in. So bad weather can be good, and you just have to keep going back to the places, and yeah, you sort of learn like how to think one or two steps ahead. Sometimes you get lucky, you get to the top of the hill and it's just perfect. Other times you have to think, I want to be at that point over there when that sun breaks out, and you can sometimes work it out, but sometimes you can't. But what we're going to do now is, there's a little waterfall down here. I'm going to try something totally different. It might even be a black and white photo because it's really dark rocks with white water, but we'll see what we can get. I think we've got something. I tried out a few different ones there. I did drop down to this area down here, and I thought if you look up at the waterfall it might look a bit more intimidating, and I'm not too sure I like the photos. I think I prefer the ones from here where you get more of the stream on the left hand side, then you get the aggressive falls on the right. The ones from down there, it just looks like a black sheet of rock with some white water falling over it. So I'm not too sure if that was a good idea. I'm quite liking this wide shot. which we've got behind me here. So we might go for that as well. I like this tree here because it sort of makes a W shape at the top, and it might work quite nicely as a landscape photo. So we'll give this a try. I think what I want to do is get the water to start in that bottom corner, get the tree pretty much where it is now. I'm liking that, and I think that one's worked out pretty well. That might be my favourite one actually. I've been enjoying this more than I expected. It's quite fun to go back to something where it's just point and shoot and it works. My big camera is quite cumbersome, and yeah, it's a bit of a pain to set up sometimes. It's like pros and cons to each. It should be a better quality image with a big camera, but it doesn't mean that this is a bad one. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give these a quick edit. I use an app called Snapseed on my phone, and it's just got a few sliders, and with the editing I found less is more. I found that if I go over the top, when I look back at it in a few months time, I won't like the photo. So gonna do a few of those, and I'll have added them into the video for you. And yeah, hope you've enjoyed this. If you use your phone for photography and there's any accessories that you recommend, it would be quite nice to have a tripod for it, and maybe you can get polarizing filters or ND filters, and maybe we can test them out at some point as well. But if you found this video helpful and you got any pictures, if you share your photos on Instagram and tag Kappa Photography, I'll check those out, and yeah, show me what you got.